Hey guys, Nickabon back, and we are here today to talk about hardcore and how things are going. So far, I'm alive, which means things are going well. Can't complain that much. It's been a fun experience so far. I just finished Act 3 and I'm moving into Cruel Difficulty, so I figured now was a good time to give an update on how the build I wanted to go into hardcore is faring, some of the things I've seen and observations I've made while playing, and give you guys some examples of boss kills to show you how smooth some of it has been. So, first things first, coming into hardcore, I wanted to try to take as much of my build from softcore and apply it to hardcore as much as possible. But that means I wanted to take advantage of the Cage God staff and do shield stacking to eventually switch over to Chaos Inoculation to be Chaos Immune, and hiding behind a gigantic shield. And eventually that is the goal. Now, obviously, being undergeared and mostly low level rares right now, that's not exactly something I can do. But the question still was, can you use Cage God right out the gate without really defense stacking and have it be successful? And the answer is yes, you can. So I started my hardcore character. The first thing I looked up was the Cage God staff on the market. Now, one of the cool things about hardcore that I'm going to talk about is the market over here is wild. Everything's like really different. Like people actually like trade. Like I'll put up stuff for trade. If I show you my stash right now, go to my trade. Like I've got stuff for trade for alchemy orbs and stuff. People trade for alchemy orbs here. People trade for regal orbs here. People trade for everything. It's crazy. And generally speaking, since the market is so empty, things generally go for less. Now you can see there are cage staffs up here for 4 exalted. For this is mostly 4 because it looks like he tried to corrupt it and didn't get anything cool, so he whiffed. So they post them for 4. Um, this was my first one. The very first thing I bought when I started my hardcore character was I saved up my first 3 and I bought this one. This one had elemental damage with attacks, which is actually pretty good, but it is additive. So I've seen some controversy over elemental damage with attacks. Um, I'm not really sure what people think this is accomplishing. It seems additive to me. It doesn't really add as much damage as you would want it to. It's obviously good. I mean, it is additive with all your other increased damage attacks, but it isn't a multiplicative stack on the weapon from what I can tell. So this one didn't have the 2 lightning runes, and I guess the guy just thought that this wasn't very good because inherently it only did 9 to 18 physical and didn't do any lightning, so I guess he just thought this wasn't, the 41 increased elemental wasn't that great. So I snagged this up when I can't remember if it was like 3 or 4 orbs, but it was out of the market and it was cheap. Middle of the night sales because I play at 4 a.m. like a weirdo. And then on this, when I killed Executioner, he actually dropped another one. So I leveled this up with the quality and then corrupted it myself eventually and got a 3rd socket. And switched to this one because the 33 to 60 lightning damage is just better than using this one, than the elemental damage. Because like I said, that's additive and doesn't multiply with everything else. So right now I'm using this, and if I were to die and want to start over, I could always fall back on this one if I wanted to. But that was pretty cool to see that this was actually pretty easily obtainable. It's very low, has no level requirement. You can literally equip this the second you get it at level 1 and just be right out the gate running with this staff. Now, the question is, how good is this without the broken uniques? Can you make it work with just rares, even at a low level? And the answer is absolutely. What I've been doing on my passive tree a lot of the times is I've started the process of taking a lot of the nodes, and if you check your DPS when you're doing upgrades, anytime you take a 5 strength node, it's always beating things out like 10 attack. Because this is multiplicative against your damage, this just isn't as good. And this is always giving you more damage. And so far, it's been really clean. I've been able to take most of the board. I grabbed a lot of the shield nodes because I'm playing hardcore and obviously I want to live. And I grabbed this node because it was multiplicative damage and the little extra light didn't hurt. I'm going to want to swing into this and grab this because I want the 2 power charges for charge staff. And honestly, the 20% increased critical damage bonus 3 times if you've eaten power charge. It's so easy to eat power charges that I feel like this is also a very powerful one. I also swam down here and grabbed this just for the 25 dex because that's a lot of main stat to grab. One of the problems I've been having trying to do this at low levels is while I'm beefing up my strength, the other 2 are required to use my skills. So I've been trying to do the bare minimum and making sure that these are always active for whatever skill levels I'm on. So you will know there are some in here, like an int there, an int here. I'm actually running up this tree right now because I want to grab this 25 int node because this is very powerful. And these are also 8 if I want them as well. And there's also this 60% additive shield bonus as well. So that's my next project, is moving up here. I'm going to grab those in Act 1 of Cruel, should I live to tell the tale. Jewels are really valuable over here. They're hard to get. You have to understand, guys, the market in hardcore is so hilariously empty. And before I go, let me say, the next thing I did was, the only other item I really wanted from the market that I was monitoring was this item here, Everlasting Gaze Amulet. So this goes anywhere from 16, 15, 18, 20. Basically, the second I had my staff, from that moment on, I waited and saved every exalted orb I could get. I didn't craft any myself. I traded whatever I could trade. I was doing, I believe it was 4 or 5 to 1 regals to exalteds, 3 to 1 alchemy to exalteds. And eventually I got to 15, and someone posted a this one right here. And it's not perfect. It's a 26, but it's better than nothing. So I grabbed this because uh, it made sorry, I just had to plug in my headset. It made the most sense at the time, and this is if you see right now 1043 shield. If I take this off, I go down to 493. This is providing 500 shield for me at a low level, which is an incredible amount of survivability in my current state. Any place I can get mana, because I'm taking int, obviously. I also have mana on my belt. I have mana on a ring, I believe. Mana on a ring right there. And it obviously provides mana. So this is a huge part of survivability, and as soon as I could afford this after saving up all my exaltas, it was the other piece. Other than that, this has pretty much all been self-found or very cheap stuff that I just took a gamble on with exaltas. For example, when I bought this belt, it had the 2 resistances and the strength. That was it. I rolled the life and mana on and almost squealed. I was so happy. I took a gamble on that one. No, you know what? I'm sorry. I take that back. It had the mana, it had the strength, it had the cold. I rolled the fire, I rolled the life, and I don't even remember why I went for the third roll on it. I guess I wanted the armor just in case it was going to give it to me. I don't know. It was so close to perfect that I said screw it, and I used the last orb on it just out of principle, just to say thank you. I like you. You're a beautiful little piece. Um, the gloves are okay. Mostly what I did was, as I've been progressing through the acts, I've been paying a lot of attention to resistances, and we'll talk about that. You can see my gear as it's been progressing. I saved it on my Twink tab. So like you can kind of see the progression of gloves here. Like the very low level, I had lightning damage, because keep in mind, any damage you can get with this weapon will scale multiplicatively with the strength bonus. So things like this that give the added damage, this is really, really powerful. So there was a time where I was using these. Um, I don't even know why these are in here. I guess there was a time I was using these. I don't remember. Eventually I moved up to these. They had life, melee skills, dex, and cold resistance. But then finally I landed on trading for these. Now these don't even have evade. They're armor, energy shield. But the resistances were great, and it had the mana. I believe I rolled the dex and the life on, or maybe it was lightning. I don't know. It had like 3 of these, and I think I put 2 of them on it or whatever. But getting lightning damage is obviously huge. Another item that I found that I've been using in the meantime is, so I was using, let's see, where did I start off? I believe it was one of these. I had like, I don't know, like this pair, I think. I was using, for a while, I really like getting the energy shield, obviously, for survivability. Then I had like the movement speed boots. I was using these for a while, movement speed with double resist, very powerful. I stumbled on these boots, and I was able to buy these for literally 1 exalted. These are a surprising DPS upgrade. 1 to 47 lightning damage in a slot that doesn't normally have damage, while providing the shocked ground. So as you move around, you create shocked ground with these. And yes, you don't have movement speed, but honestly, this has just been so powerful and getting the free shocked kills, because as I'm running around and creating the shock ground and killing enemies inside of it, it's proccing my Herald of Lightning all the time. So I'm not saying this is like an end game boot. I'm not saying this is something that, I'm going to be using, but like if you look at the damage that I'm doing at level 46, so we got 4,000 Stormwind. Look how much this is providing. 32 up to 4,000. I mean, that's like a pretty sizable DPS bonus just from these boots. In addition to providing the guaranteed shock if they run through my shocked ground, which lasts for 8 seconds, which is also a pretty considerable amount of time. They provide base energy shield, so they're not a total whiff. Again, armor on 2 pieces, so I don't have my full um, evasion. But right now my resistances are pretty good. This is at the start of Act 1 in Cruel. I'm still capped right now, more or less. I still have 76% evasion, and that's with using 2 armor pieces. So that's been going really, really well. My primary source of damage so far has been, it was a struggle until you get charge staff online, but then once you get charge staff at level 31 in the videos I'm going to show you, it's a huge game changer. So that's been a huge jump. I got Combat Frenzy going as soon as I could, even though it was a bit of a dex jump, but this was great once I had the charge staff. You kind of need these. They're 2 peas in a pod. So once I hit the level 31 to be able to unlock charge staff, this was when I came here and got this. Now, as far as skills go, keep in mind, so just to give you an example what the market's like over here, if we say we want a divine orb and we've got exalted orbs and you can search, you can see that in hardcore, literally there's only this many divine orbs posted in this market right now, and they're posted at 12 to 20. So the market's very, very different. You could also show, like, let's say I want, I don't know, what's another example of something? Chaos Orb? No, it doesn't really. Let's say I want an Exalted Orb, and I have Orb of Alchemy. You can see right here, Orb of Alchemy 3-1. There's a lot of currency exchange that go on. People trade a lot of this stuff. But here's where it gets really wild, and I'll give you an example. Let's say you want the Hand of Wisdom and Fate, right? The Wisdom in Action, I mean, sorry. There's one pair up on the entire marketplace for 500 Exalted. Only one guy has looted this and decided to sell it. This is how empty the market is. There's all kinds of things you could search. You could try to get an Astramantis. There isn't even going to be one. And I mean, like, there isn't at all. Never mind online. It's literally zero in the market. So hardcore is like the wild, wild west. It's a lot harder to find things for sale, and it's kind of fun. I kind of enjoy it. But it does make things interesting. One thing you can do though, the reason I pulled this up is what you can do is you can say like skill gem, uncut skill gem, and then you go down here and say I want it to be level, I don't know, 8, right? 8 to 8. And you pull it up and then, oh, it's not, that's, sorry, it's item level 8 to 8. Boom. So now you can go and you could buy these. So people are selling like level 8 uncut skill gems for like 1 alchemy. In hardcore, this is a really big deal. It allows you to jump ahead. When I was going to fight Gemnira in Act 2, I didn't have the skill to actually learn Charge Staff yet because it hadn't dropped for me. It wasn't, I don't believe I was at a threshold, or I would have had to keep farming a long time. But I was able to come to the market and just buy one of these because they don't have level requirements for like 1 alchemy orb, and it was a huge game changer. So this is a big deal. This definitely helps in trying to get your skills online faster in hardcore mode as soon as you have the level to get it without having to wait on the skill gem to reach certain milestones for certain bosses. So that's been a huge help too. Also, the first thing I did, I was very, very aggressive in hitting the tree to go and get meditate as fast as possible. It's the first thing I took as soon as I could. Meditate's insane for survivability, especially in hardcore. You'll see in the clips I'm about to show you some of the things that was going on with this. But all in all, taking just strength and focusing on lightning damage on your rings and gloves as early as possible while trying to just save up. I mean, there was a while where I was using like a level, I don't know, I was just bashing them with the normal blue stick. But as soon as I had the 3 exalted, it was off to the races and I switched over. And you get them quicker than you'd think. Like it took me, I think, I can't remember when I had it. It was by the time I got to the first boss. You'll see the damage jump. I'm going to show you right now. So let's watch some videos real quick and I'll show you some clips of how this was going and we'll talk about it progressing. So let's do, yeah, we'll just keep that up. So the very first video is just me fighting this boss. Now this was before I had the Cage God staff. I was using some other random long staff or something. I don't remember. It was junk, but I'm just bonking him. Now, I have the bell, but I don't have charge staff, obviously. This is still really, really early. But you're going to see that, like, you can bonk him pretty quickly with just stacking lightning damage on your stuff. This really wasn't that bad. He got bonked. It was very easy. By the time he was making a run for it on the final bell, he basically already had no life whatsoever. So going through the game and starting over and understanding damage stacking and how to do it correctly, these early bosses are kind of a joke. It's not even close. But here's an example of when I did have the staff. So I saved up my first Exalteds, and then I fought this boss, and I did have it. Now keep in mind, you're going to be level 14 by the time you fight this guy. It's very important to have Tempest, Flurry, and Ice Strike. So that was a big part of this. And yeah, I think this went really well. Also, one thing I'm going to note here, resistances are huge on these ACK bosses. I did not go into this boss until I was at 75% cold resist. And the way I achieved that was I made sure one of the big things that you're going to end up gearing for is you're just going to find these rings that have the inherent resistance on it. So I traded for like 2 cold rings and I threw like, I think some glyphs in my chest to get to the 75 very comfortably. And it's kind of like one of the things that you don't really pay attention to when you're first going through the game. I think when I first played it, I really took resistances for granted because fighting him this time, it wasn't even close. I mean, it was like he was tickling me. That's how much damage he was doing as with the cold resistance. So you'll see here, typical stuff, getting the flurry down, get the bell down, give him the bonk. Now this is with the staff. Now you'll see, look at the damage on this. This is just using Cage God with nothing fancy, but a few strength points in strength and some lightning on my, like, I think I had like 1 to 10 on lightning on my ring and like 1 to 6 lightning on my gloves or something. I was showing you that gear in there. It wasn't anything fancy. But like, he's not doing anything to damage to me because I've got the cold resist. Even when he pokes me with that, it's not a big deal. He takes a little longer to transform here. I was like kind of confused why he wasn't transforming because I was already at the stage where I couldn't damage him. But then he goes and he turns into this idiot. And again, watch the damage with just what a low level cage staff can still do pretty good damage. I mean, he gets bonked really fast. So I do think the staff, even at low levels without the fancy stacking, it still works. Like it does pretty considerable damage. Right here, I race him. He starts casting this. I got a little greedy right there. He hit me with that and it bonked my shield all the way down, but it's fine. We got him. That was probably a little greedy. That could have probably killed me if I had been a little more. If he had hit me one more time with that, it might have been a little shaky. But yeah, so that went really well, and then we were on to Act 2. This is just an example of trying to, at this point now, we were playing the game with Stormwave. So the gimmick here was, okay, we've got Stormwave now. When do you use Stormwave? When do you use the bell? We still don't have Charge Staff yet. We're still struggling to like get the real big damage going. But at this point, it's still pretty smooth. Like the damage isn't that bad. I just got the bell down. I hugged this corner pocket. I had reasonable shield. This is a pretty easy boss to dodge mechanics and get natural shield back, which I do right there. Back to full. Still just giving him the double bonk. My man is getting wrecked. So here, the thing about the shockwave. So I was still adjusting to realizing that you could tap it and attack faster rather than hold down. I don't know why holding it down doesn't cast it as fast as possible. I didn't know that, but I have since learned. So right here, I see how he's stunned. I knock him down. I get him as low as possible, not to enrage him. Go and do some damage on the mage. Just dodge mechanics, getting a free passive shield heal right here. Get back to full. Time to be greedy. Run in. Finish off the boss. Piece of cake. Go 1-1 and die. Piece of cake. So that went really smooth. That was easy. But the damage still was a little bit lacking because we didn't have charge staff yet. The next one that I was a little worried about, one of the ones on hardcore that I was considering notorious, was this idiot. I really don't like this guy's hitbox. So my plan coming into this was I was going to use the Stormwave as much as possible because his hitbox is really wonky with trying to use melee and the bell. I had really mixed results with that. Obviously, in like the end game, with one good bell, you can melt him with the Eye of the Storm combo, whatever. But you got to keep in mind, this is low level. We don't even have charge staff yet. So my plan was consistent damage, just watch the mechanic, and just sit there spamming him with the wave to get as much consistent damage in as I could. As long as I dodge the mechanics and take as little damage as possible, which is pretty easy as long as you stay close to him. You don't want to be in the middle of the arena, even though they said they patched this. I like just sitting down here near his armpit, because it's really easy to dodge his mechanics and just sit there wailing away on him with the wave. So that's pretty much what I did. It really wasn't that hard. He doesn't really have any mechanics that are like... He has that one where he slams the ground. This one's annoying because the hitbox on it's weird, but like it doesn't really do that much damage even if he catches you. You really just don't want to be at the end of the tip of the sword. And there was an overtuned bug before, like right there. If he hits you right there with that, it used to be able to one-shot you. The patch notes say they fixed it. Do you want to trust the patch notes? That's up to you. This one's easy. Just dodge in, dodge that. Piece of cake. These are all really easy mechanics. Really, the only thing I was worried about was that one-hit kill, but he also didn't do the sword thing where you have to stand behind the sword, but that's just common sense. So that was a very easy fight. And then we hit level 31 and everything changed. We had charge staff and it was time to do this boss here. Now the key thing here is I run out of charges. So I made sure I went into this fight with 75% lightning resistance. Now we have charge staff. And I don't know if I had the dex to do the ranger thing here. Oh, I did. No, I did. I have the ranger thing here. Yeah, you'll see in a second. So the important thing here is I only have 19 seconds on my charge staff, and I'm starting to freak out a little, realizing his RP here is taking too long, and I'm rapidly losing the opportunity to get DPS on him. So I try to take advantage of this quick. I have 10 seconds here to get as much charge staff damage as I can. He's immune to cold damage, but I went with this anyway. I don't care. I know that because it does so many more attacks with the bell, because this attacks faster than Ice Strike. So I didn't bother with Ice Strike. I stuck with the Lightning, even though he is weak to Ice, and I probably could have killed him quicker. All I had to do was wait on this attack. Now, a lot of people complain about this attack. You'll see here, it's a pretty predictable pattern. Everybody tells me, oh, this one thing just juggles through you. There's no way to dodge it. I don't know. Once you get a good motion with that thing, I feel like it's pretty easy to dodge. It's more of a pain in the ass when he's doing other stuff, and you have to try to pay attention to both at once. But when you can focus on that thing, I don't think it's that hard to dodge. The only trick here now was I wanted to electrocute him to get the Ranger buff, to get the free power charge. So the game was, I'm going to kite him and dodge mechanics while I charge him, I electrocute. And as soon as I see that charge, that's going to be my DPS phase to get the 5 seconds to run in and bonk him with the bell and try to damage him. Because I don't want to do it when I don't have charge staff, because it's not going to do nearly as much damage. Just keep in mind, in addition to adding the extra laser beams to make bell bonks, it's also giving you increased damage because it adds lightning damage, which is increased by the cage staff. So all in all, if you're going to get greedy and run into this guy and try meleeing him, better to do it when he's electrocute stunned. So I'm building dodge. It can be a little wonky when you're trying to do it. So right here, got it right there. I stopped, got close, popped it, go, and DPS phase. Now he's stunned. Now I have the charge staff. Now I can do the bell. I know I only have 10 seconds left. I know he does a lot, like he's doing a lot of these melee things. So I come down here, meditate. This is why meditate's just so insane. Like, look at that. Full teal shield top off with a little extra. I stand by my choice on meditate, especially in hardcore. I think it's incredibly powerful. Especially with the more shield you get. I mean, the more shield you get, the better. Right there. I'm just like, oh, I'll top off a little more. Why not? Now I have 50% overcap shield thanks to meditate. Someone right there. Look at this, by the way. For those of you that don't know, anytime someone on the ladder dies, if they're high up, it alerts the chat. It's so brutal. Actually, hold on. Let me show you something. I actually took a picture of this earlier. So this guy dies earlier, right? This guy right here, position 8. He dies, and I didn't have global on, so I turn on global. I was like, oh, I wonder what global chat's like when one of these guys dies. Now, as you know, when you start the game on the beach, right? Like your ship washes up or whatever. So here's the global chat. Level ties, send them, back to the beach. I don't know why back to the beach sent me so good, but I saw this. I was just laughing. Oh man, so brutal. Not only do you have to like live with yourself over dying in hardcore, but the whole fucking server knows when it happens. How embarrassing, right? But anyhow, back to this. So that guy dies. I'm laughing and trying not to let that distract me as I fight this boss. Once again, I see the 92. I know I'm getting close. 99. Boom. Got it. Pop the charge staff. Run in. Get my final DPS phase. Go for the kill. I decide here. I look at my shield. I see I'm overcapped. I see his life. I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying in. Got the kill. Piece of cake. So that went pretty smooth. I wasn't really ever in a position of being critical at that point. Yeah, I was happy with how that went. The next boss that was sketchy. Oh, full disclaimer. I skipped the monkey. I'm just going to be honest. I skipped the monkey. I know the monkey is scary. I know he has the bonk where he can just lucky one-shot you. I just said, screw it. I'm not taking a risk. I skipped him. Is it 2 skill points? Yeah. Do I want to kill him? Absolutely. Do I regret skipping him? Not one bit. Because you know what's worse than not having 2 skill points? Dying. And I don't want to deal with it. He probably has the most lethal single attack in the game, frankly. It's just really easy to get bonked by that. Quinn69 showed me himself. So this one is a quick example. By now, we have, I believe we're using the boots, right? Yeah, we are. So by now, as an example, we have, when you see this fight, Act 3 against this, we have these boots. Now watch how much of a damage jump, even just equipping these boots added. These boots, I think I was wearing a lot of this gear, honestly. As soon as I hit Act 3, I was really farming up quick to try to get this gear on, a lot of this, before I fought this guy. So watch what happens now that we have these boots on, like the damage jump. Like when I get him down, he gets bonked. Like everybody told me, oh, this is the one you got to worry about. This is actually worse than the monkey. I didn't really agree with that. I always thought this boss was kind of a pushover, but one tower land and then it's just not lights out. Like he doesn't even get to recover from this. The damage we have now at a low level is considerable. And you're pretty much, what you just saw was pretty much what I have right now. Like it was pretty much this with the boots. I don't even think I had both these rings yet. This was a huge ring upgrade. I bought it with just the lightning and then I rolled the physical on myself. I got increased. I rolled the physical on. I bought it as just the lightning, the dex, and the lightning resistance. That was it. It had the inherent fire and the lightning resistance. I bought it for 1 exalted orb. I was happy with that. And then over time, I was like, why don't we try one more? So I used 1 more exalted orb on it and I got 20 physical damage. And I was like, ooh, this one's juicy now. I could use this for a while. So eventually I looted another exalted orb. Do I go to the market? Now I'm going to roll 1 more on it and I get evasion rating. And I'm like, ugh, evasion rating sucks. Huge whiff. But the very last orb, when I looted my last one, I was like, do I waste another orb on this? Cast speed wasn't on it yet. And I really, really wanted to live the dream and get another suffix of another resistance. So I went for it because I was like, if I can get a second resistance on this with the double damage and the dex and the lightning resistance, I could see myself using this ring for a long time. Rolled it again, got the cast speed, shook my fist at the sky and said, damn the gods. So, but it is what it is. Sometimes you got to take those risks. That's the fun of the game, right? That's where you get the baller loot, is doing it yourself and trying to come up with that crazy shit. This boss, I just wanted to showcase something real quick. I don't remember why I recorded this one. Base boss. Oh no, not that. This is the wrong boss. This one. I recorded this because everybody has a hard time too. I see carries for this in chat, but I just wanted to show you that we melt this guy too with this loadout right now. This guy, and again, I run out of charges here. So I stay in because my health's fine. Right here, he kind of made me scared. So I run down. Here comes the meditate. It's just so fucking good. Look at that. Back to 1300 top off. And I'm like, okay, now I can be greedy. And that's the beauty of it. Just getting that moment of opportunity against the boss to run out, meditate, and then jump back in when you're back to overcap shield. It's just so powerful at the low levels. I love it. So he got rocked. This is the one I wanted to show. So I recorded this guy. The only thing about this that I was surprised was as a boss, on like I think it was like a map 15 at one point or something. This boss caught me off guard and kind of blocked me. So I recorded it just because I was like, I'm curious how I don't really remember how he is in the campaign. A lot of lightning damage, but I was lightning cap. But then I noticed this was interesting. He's weak to lightning. I didn't expect that. I thought because this icon means they're weak to the element, right? I would not have guessed that the lightning boss was weak to lightning. That really caught me off guard. But when I saw that, you can probably guess how this went. Once I realized, oh wait, you're weak to lightning. Oh, you're getting the big ball, the bing bong, and that was pretty much it. He didn't last much very long after that. And again, I look at my light mana, sorry, I look at my shield. I'm at full shield. Seeing overcap shield just lets you be greedy. It's great. And then finally, the gear that I just showed you is literally the gear I'm using right here because this just happened 5 minutes before I decided to record this video before bed. My favorite man, favorite voice acting in the whole game. For me. So cool. 3 simple words. You need the way that voice actor delivers it is so sick. This guy didn't hold a chance with this build right now. He's getting bonked. We don't even have the Eye of Winter yet. Like once you put the Eye of Winter bug, glitch, oversight, interaction, whatever you want to call it, in with this build, I think I reached that at 52. But at some point in this next playthrough, death be damned, I'll be able to use the Eye of Winter and see how that goes. But things are going really well. This boss didn't stand a chance. Again, 2k shield at this point, thanks to the gaze. I'm just face tanking stuff, not even close, watching my health, but not really worried about it. He gets electrified here, so I know this is a DPS phase to just kind of pound him and get some in. I run out of this. You see that? I don't even know why. Just to give you an idea of when you actually pay attention to resistance. Look at this. I don't even know why I ran out of this. 75 resist on this, and then boom. It did like 200 damage to me. It was a joke. So when you have these kind of resistant kind of life against act bosses like this, there's a lot of these mechanics you can basically just ignore. They just don't do anything. So he was a joke, face tank. I may actually farm this boss from experience and loot before I move too far into Cruel. But what you just saw is what I've got right now, and it's going really well. So I think these boots are a sleeper in low-level hardcore, or low-level, just low-level in general. I think, yeah, you lose movement speed, but what you gain in offensive capability with the guaranteed shocking and everything else with the lightning damage in this version of the build, with the stacking cage god providing a multiplicative bonus on that lightning damage, I think it's pretty powerful. And they're easy to get. I mean, no one's using these. Like I said, I don't even think it was an X. I think I bought them for like one. I don't know. Let me look. Hold on. What did I buy these for? They were not expensive. Wake. I was like searching the wiki for uniques because I was like, what uniques did I sleep on? Yeah, look at this. One exalted. It's a joke. 4 chaos orbs. That guy's not getting that. But yeah, I bought them for 1 exalted orb. They were so cheap. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's been it so far. As far as skills go, I mean, like I said, same thing. I've looted a bunch of these, traded for a few of these too. Those are actually pretty cheap as well. Regal orbs, I was able to trade like, or alchemy. No, it was alchemy orbs. I think I traded 1 for 1 and alchemy orbs for the 3s. They were trading 1 for 1. I didn't bother buying any for these skills because there really wasn't much point. I don't have the stuff to slot in those, and with the lack of spirit right now and all that. But I think my next step is I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish the Chaos Trial. Anytime I check the Chaos Trial, if it's the Tornado Bird, I'm just going to leave. And I'm just going to keep doing it until I get one of the other 2 bosses because I refuse to do the Tornado Bird. The Tornado is one of the most overtuned attacks in the entire game against melee, and I just refuse to do that fight. Against anyone in the game. It doesn't even need to be melee, really. But the Tornado is like an insta-kill, and I just won't even take that risk. So if I get the Tornado Bird, I'm leaving. Otherwise, I think I'll melt one of the other 2 bosses. And then when I get this, it gives me an option. I can either go this to get the spirit on chest, but I'm so low level on my chest isn't good enough. I think I may actually just take this, either the 10 damage or the 10 damage here. One of these 2, because I haven't actually figured out what it is. I think it's this. I know in my softcore guy, when I would fight a boss, if I didn't have charge staffed, I could attack him with the flurry, drop the bell, swing at the bell a bunch, and then I would get charge powers from the ranger thing, like something was triggering it. So my best guess was it was because I had this for cold damage and I was freezing them or something. I don't know. I actually don't know what it is. Is that what it is? Someone in the comments can tell me what it is. If you're playing single player right now, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like right now in the campaign, if I run in and I don't have my charge, I have to electrocute them to get it back. In single player, something I was doing, some interaction with Tempest Flurrying them with the bell naturally was giving me the charges to then cast my charge staff and then go off with the Eye of the Storm combo. But I don't know. Is it the cold damage and the frozen? That's got to be what it is, right? Because nothing else I have would be This is the one with the electrocute damage, so I don't think anything else was electrocuting. So I'm not sure. Kind of interesting though. But yeah, so that's been it so far, guys. If the question is this spec viable at low level? The answer is yes. Can you do this with Cage God? You just need physical and lightning damage every spot you can. Get as much lightning damage on these 4 pieces as you can, and then when you're in your passive tree, just where you take your defensive stats if you're in hardcore. If you're in softcore and you want to be more aggressive, you could skip some of this. And then you just want to take strength where you can, because I grabbed these. I haven't grabbed this yet. I need to go back and grab that. I will probably grab this too. Maybe. Probably. I don't know. This wasn't as imperative. This one was really good. Two evasion per 1 maximum energy shield and equipped helmet. That was a nice little chunk of evasion at low level. It was nice. And then these. I'm going to take this too. I should actually probably take these 2 out to finish getting this quicker, because this is 60 and those are only 24. So I'll probably tinker with this. I forgot I was going up this tree to take this. And then there's also this. Faster start to energy shield and recharge. Evasion, if you've been hit recently, is pretty good for us because we get hit all the time. But recharge is a big deal for the meditate. So I've actually energy shield recharge rate. Penetrates cold. This is actually not a bad drill. I got this cheap. Everybody on hardcore is all about energy shield maximum. People are sleeping on the energy shield recharge. I care about energy shield recharge for meditate because I like getting the quicker meditates mid combat. And also, I know from experience, inevitably when I switch to Chaos Inoculation, gain 10% of maximum energy shield additional stun threshold is important, because when you use this and go to 1 life, your stun threshold goes absolutely down the drain. So having these jewels that say gain energy shield as stun threshold really, really helps with that and starts to build a stun threshold that isn't just absolute dog water. So getting that on jewels is kind of a sneaky move, and it's actually pretty powerful. But okay, that's it for now, guys. That's the update. Hopefully I don't die. Hopefully I can clear Coral and give you guys another update on how gearing is going, and maybe I'll get some more fancy stuff. Yes, I use every single chance orb I can to try to get an Astromentus. I don't actually know, legitimately, if I would use Astromentus over this. I think my dream is to corrupt roll one of these to get the extra bonus roll on the Max Mana's extra mana shield. I think it can roll up to like 20%. So if you could get the Stone Nuts 30% bonus with the 20% and go to 36 mana as energy shield, I think that's the dream. I don't think anything would be better. I think I would use that over Astromentus and hardcore, honestly. Because once you have this full thing set up and you have everything chugging along and getting the gloves, which honestly, the gloves are going to be the hardest part of this entire build. Basically, what's going to end up happening is when I hit endgame, I'm going to kind of slow pace it to try to get the levels and get the stuff. But I need to get the furtive gloves. I need to. Once you get those gloves, this build takes off. It just skyrockets to the moon. Without the gloves, it's tougher. It's not easy. It's the only other unique I think I would use in hardcore. I don't think I would use the chest. I would stick with the regular chest. I'm not even sure I'd use the helm. I think I'd stick with the regular helm. The reason for these is you got to get as much shield and mana as possible to stack the shield in hardcore. I want to live. If I kill things slightly slower, so be it. You can still get enough stat stacking between stats on your gear and proper attribute point layout or passive skill layouts for attribute points that it's really not that big of a deal. Giving up those resistances, giving up that energy shield on these pieces in swap for uniques, I just don't think it's going to do it. So I think this is my plan. This is my play for now. So, all right. That's it for now. Still alive. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day, night, whatever.